I used to believe my daughter had the perfect marriage. A loving husband, a stable home, and a future that seemed unshakable. For years, I praised Daniel, the man who had effortlessly won not only my daughter's heart but the admiration of our entire family. He was polite, dependable, and always knew the right things to say. If someone had asked me to name a flaw, I wouldn't have found one. Daniel had a way of making people feel safe. He laughed at my husband's old jokes, helped my grandson with his homework, and never missed a family gathering. I often told my friends how lucky my daughter, Emily, was. Men like Daniel are rare, I would say, convinced that her life was as perfect as it seemed, but looking back, I realize that perfection is often a carefully curated illusion. The first crack appeared on a quiet Sunday afternoon. I was setting the table while Emily and Daniel played with their son in the backyard. Laughter filled the air, the kind of easy joy that made life feel warm and whole. But when I glanced up from the window, I caught something that didn't belong, a flicker of unease in Daniel's expression. He was holding his phone, his body slightly turned away, typing quickly as if afraid to be seen. It was brief. A split second. But something about the way he stiffened when Emily called his name sent a strange chill through me. I brushed it off. Maybe it was nothing. Or maybe I didn't want to believe otherwise. Days passed, and the feeling lingered. Small things began to stand out. Daniel had always been present, attentive, but suddenly, he seemed distracted. He would excuse himself during meals to take calls, his voice low and hurried. He stopped making eye contact as often, and when he did, there was something guarded in his gaze. Then, there were the late nights. Daniel had always been home by 6, like clockwork. But now, he worked late. Too late. Emily reassured me it was just a busy season at the office, but her voice lacked conviction. I noticed the way she watched him now, the faint crease in her brow when he came home past midnight, mumbling something about deadlines. Still, I said nothing. I had no proof, just a growing discomfort that settled in my chest like a weight. Then, the moment that sealed my doubts came unexpectedly. One evening, while visiting Emily's house, I went to retrieve my phone from the living room when I saw Daniel's phone, screen still glowing, abandoned on the armrest. A name flashed across the top, one I didn't recognize, followed by a message that made my breath hitch. I miss you. When can we meet again? A slow, terrible realization crept over me. The perfect family I had admired for so long was beginning to fracture. And for the first time, I wondered if it had ever been real at all. I stared at the message on Daniel's phone, my pulse hammering. The words blurred for a moment as disbelief clashed with the truth I didn't want to accept. I miss you. When can we meet again? For a long moment, I hesitated. This was his personal phone, his private conversation. Snooping wasn't something I had ever done before. But the weight in my chest told me that whatever lay beneath this message was something I could no longer ignore. I glanced toward the kitchen, where Emily was laughing softly as she prepared dinner, unaware of the storm brewing in the next room. I could hear Daniel talking to my grandson, his voice light, carefree, like a man with nothing to hide. But I knew better now. My fingers hovered over the screen. Just one more message. One more glimpse to confirm my worst fears. Before I could make a decision, the phone vibrated again. A new message. Same place as last time? I can't stop thinking about you. A sharp breath escaped me. My grip on the phone tightened. There was no misinterpreting this. It wasn't a misunderstanding, a work-related text, or a harmless exchange between friends. This was betrayal, plain and simple. My hands trembled as I placed the phone back where I found it, my mind racing. How long had this been going on? Who was she? Did Emily know? A dozen questions swirled, each one heavier than the last. Dinner that night was unbearable. Every glance Daniel threw at Emily, every smile he gave their son, felt like a performance. I studied him in a way I never had before, his casual charm, his easy laughter. How many lies had he told under this same roof, at this very table? Emily, oblivious to the battle raging inside me, asked if I was feeling unwell. I forced a smile, nodding. Just a little tired, I lied, but I wouldn't rest. Not now. That night, while the house slept, I made my decision. If Daniel had secrets, I was going to find them. The next morning, I feigned cheerfulness as I joined Emily for coffee, casually asking about Daniel's schedule. "Working late again?" I probed. She sighed, stirring her tea absent-mindedly. "Yes. It's been happening a lot lately. He says the new project is demanding." A lie. I knew it now. I had to see it with my own eyes. So that evening, as Daniel kissed Emily goodbye and left for work, I followed him. My hands gripped the steering wheel tighter with every mile, my heart pounding. He wasn't heading to his office. He took a different route, one that led to a quiet, dimly lit parking lot behind a boutique hotel. Then, as I watched from a safe distance, the final betrayal unfolded before me. Daniel stepped out of his car, and moments later, a woman emerged from the hotel's entrance. She smiled, walking straight into his arms, and just like that, the last remnants of doubt shattered into dust. Betrayal had taken everything I thought I knew and shattered it. But in its wake, something unexpected began to grow, a quiet, stubborn strength. I didn't confront my husband right away. I needed time to grieve the life I thought I had before I could decide what came next. So, I played my role, pretending I was still the woman he believed would never suspect a thing. I smiled when required, answered in half-hearted nods, and endured the weight of his deception like a burden I refused to drop, at least, not yet. Then, one morning, everything changed. The nausea hit me first. It was sudden and overwhelming, forcing me to bolt to the bathroom. I knelt over the toilet, my body trembling as I tried to breathe through the sickness. It passed eventually, leaving me hollow and shaking. I knew before I even took the test. Staring at the 2 pink lines, I felt the world shift beneath my feet. This wasn't just about my husband's betrayal anymore. This wasn't just my pain to carry. A child. My child. The weight of it settled over me in waves. I had spent weeks questioning what was left after love failed, and now, here was my answer. This child wasn't a reminder of the man who had betrayed me. This child was mine. A life untouched by his lies, a future that belonged to me alone. I pressed a hand to my stomach, the smallest of smiles tugging at my lips. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel broken. I felt whole, but I still had one final decision to make. That night, I watched my husband from across the dinner table. He scrolled through his phone between bites, barely glancing at me. It was easy now to see what I had ignored for so long, the way his love had faded, the way he had already moved on, and yet, he didn't know. He didn't know that while he had spent months pulling away, I had gained something far greater than what he had taken. I took a deep breath, fingers curling around the edge of my chair. It was timed. I was done grieving. Tomorrow, I would tell him. Tomorrow, I would take my life back. Morning came with a quiet certainty. I no longer felt the weight of hesitation. I had spent enough nights drowning in questions that had no answers. Today, I would speak my truth, and whatever happened next, I would face it on my own terms. I sat across from my husband at the breakfast table, studying the man I had once loved. He looked the same, hair still slightly tousled, eyes still carrying the same shade of brown that once felt like home. But now, I saw him differently. He wasn't my safe place anymore. He wasn't my future. I set my coffee down carefully, my voice steady as I said, "I know about her." He froze mid-sip, his entire body stiffening. Slowly, he lowered his mug, but he didn't speak right away. I watched the mask of indifference slip into place, the same one he had worn for months. "What are you talking about?" I almost laughed. Even now, he thought he could lie his way out. "Don't insult me," I said quietly. "I know everything. I've known for a while." His jaw tensed. For a moment, I thought he might deny it again, but then he exhaled sharply, rubbing a hand over his face. "It just happened." That was all he had to say. No apologies. No remorse. Just an excuse wrapped in emptiness. I nodded slowly, as if considering his words. But the truth was, I had already decided. "I'm pregnant." Silence. His eyes widened, his mouth opening slightly before snapping shut. "You're what?" "Pregnant," I repeated, letting the word settle between us. "And before you ask, yes, it's yours." His hands trembled slightly as he set his mug aside. "We can fix this," he said quickly. We can go to counseling, work through everything. I shook my head. No, we can't. For the first time, I saw fear flicker across his face. He had assumed I would fight for him, that I would hold on to the scraps he had left behind. But I wasn't that woman anymore. I'm not staying, I continued. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine. His lips parted as if to argue, but I didn't give him the chance. I stood, smoothing down my shirt, feeling lighter than I had in months. I deserve better. And so does our child. I turned and walked away, leaving him sitting there, speechless. As I stepped outside, the morning air filled my lungs, crisp and full of promise. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid of the unknown. I was free.